Hey, what's going on, everybody? Martino here from Extract Media. Today we're talking about The Last of Us Episode 8. It is called When We Are Need and directed by Ali Abassi. Alright guys, so first I want to let you know I will not refrain from spoilers in this episode, so if you haven't seen the episode yet, please tune out now. We're going to talk about it in depth. You have been warned. Okay, as somebody who's played the game, the thing that really impressed me about this episode right off the bat is the fact that we spent a lot more time with the villain of this episode. This has impressed me about the show in general. Side characters or people that were side characters in the game, they get a lot more time in this show. We flesh them out a lot more, and David is immediately played as a good guy as he was in the game, but we know as game players, obviously, or I knew that David was going to be a bad guy, that was going to be a twist, but I like that they still kept that for the audience just now coming into it with this show. Scott Shepherd, who plays David here, is fantastic, by the way. I just thought he did an incredible job portraying this character, pretty close to the way he was in the game, but also putting his own spin on it just a little bit. Troy Baker's in this episode as James, and for those of you who don't know, Troy Baker is Joel in the game The Last of Us, so there you are. It was very exciting to see him in a role, and he did a really good job in this episode. I really like Troy Baker's work here. You know, obviously after the events of Joel pretty much getting impaled, he is still pretty much injured to the point where he cannot get up, he cannot help. I thought this was a really important detail for them to kind of keep showing us, and Ellie kind of goes out to seek out some medicine, some food, and well, she does find some food. She shoots a deer, and Bella Ramsey is hysterical here, just holding this rifle. Man, this thing is bigger than she is. You could tell she was having a hard time in reality as well. Runs into David and James, and then David and James said that they'll trade her with some medicine, and she agrees to this deal, seeing as Joel needs help. But Ellie finds out that the guy who impaled Joel is a friend of David's church, or church in quotations. It's more of a cannibal church, but we'll get into that in a little bit. And so Ellie's scared of what David will do, but David's desires are so different than what you would expect a typical villain's desires to be. He wants to keep Ellie, he wants to possess her. It's very sickening, it's very unsettling, this whole storyline that they kind of laid out here. He also likes her in a very sexual way as well, which I found to be extremely disturbing, and this is one of the things I love about the show, is it doesn't stray away from realism. There are real sickos like this in our reality, and that part of it was kind of implied in the game, but I like that they expanded on this here and pretty much confirmed, yeah, David was trying to have sexual relations with Ellie as well. It just really made the episode all the more creepy. This episode, by the way, does belong to Bella Ramsey, though. She gives a great performance. She goes back down to the basement, gives Joel the medicine as David let her go, but then there are plans in place to try to get her back as he goes back to his church and says to a young woman of the church, look, I know who killed your father. I found the people who killed your father. And then she wants him to track her down and kill her, or Ellie anyway. And then Joel is kind of MIA according to the church, but we all know that he's just sitting in that basement and that they might find him. And I thought Pedro Pascal did a fantastic job here at playing this realistically, where he had to kind of be passed out, but also kind of like half awake to the point where he can comprehend what Ellie was saying enough to where he can get himself out of the situation that he ultimately gets into here. I think Joel is just so intimidating in the scenes when he's interrogating these criminals to try to find Ellie, right? Or really cannibals. Speaking of cannibals, the meat scene, oh my god, it's so unsettling when you go back and watch it again after knowing that they're cannibals. Oh my gosh, and Bella Ramsey just does a great job in this cage sequence. She feels like somebody who is kind of going stir crazy just a little bit, but on the same hand, she's still keeping her composure about her, which I thought was really cool as well. And she performs it pretty similarly to the way that Ashley Johnson did in the game, which I quite dug, because moments like this need to be in the show. And even if they just switch up the lines ever so slightly to fit the portrayal that Bella Ramsey's giving, it was exciting to see the sequence where they put her on the table and then she kind of comes out with this last minute card that she kind of has up her sleeve saying that she's infected. Of course, at the end of the episode, this whole quote-unquote church again gets set on fire, and pretty much there's this one-on-one between David and Ellie, where Ellie's kind of trying to hide from David, kind of give him a sneak attack, which I really felt her pain here, having played as her in this moment in the game. This is super cool to experience again this way, and I'm also watching this with people who haven't played the game either, so it's really fun to kind of see their experience with it and how it differs. I mean, Bella Ramsey does a fantastic job when she finally does get up up on David. She pretty much doesn't just kill him, she kills the living shit out of him. And that's something I love about the show, is they don't have to show you the gruesomeness for you to know that what's going on here is gruesome. You just know it through Bella Ramsey's performance. I found it incredibly effective here, and it's probably the most intense scene throughout the entire show. She gets up, and this right here has to be my favorite shot of the show. Her just looking traumatized. There are no words right here, but you know everything that's going through her mind. As a game player, you're probably expecting Joel to stop Ellie from hacking up David, which is a change that I really like because it gave us the opportunity to have that great Bella Ramsey facial expression being traumatized. Also, as game players, it kind of threw us off the scent a little bit, although I kind of knew that it wasn't going to play out exactly. I kind of knew he was going to find her outside just based on the way the trailer was playing out, but some people might not have picked up on that, so I just found that to be super cool. I like when this show does things just a little bit differently to try to throw the game players off their scent just a little bit. It keeps you on your toes. I really dig it. And after the most intense scene of the show, we end up getting the most emotional scene and the most heartfelt scene of the entire show. When Joel finds Ellie, he gives her a hug, or really she just wraps her arms around him, but he hugs her back and just says, "It's okay, baby girl." I really love that. It was an essential part of the game, and I couldn't wait to see how it was played out here, and I thought the actors did a terrific job. I couldn't believe, even though I knew the moment, like how much the show had my emotions going and how much my heart was pounding. This episode is incredible. It is the best episode of the season so far, without a doubt, and it set up a perfect finale. I cannot wait for the finale. All right, guys, it is now your turn to tell me what you thought of this episode of The Last of Us. I really want to have conversations about this, so please comment below and let me know. I will reply. I will let you know how I feel about your thoughts, and we can have a whole discussion. Keep the comments going. It'll be fun. All right, guys, and as always, before I get out of here, please hit the like button below, subscribe to the channel, leave some feedback in the comment section, and share this with your friends. It's always much appreciated. Once again, I am Martino, and I will talk to you guys later.